The administration under the Vijayanagar Empire was well organized. The king enjoyed absolute authority in executive, judicial, and legislative matters. He was the highest court of appeal. The succession to the throne was on the principle of hereditary. Sometimes usurpation to the throne took place as Saluvu Narsimha came to power by ending the Sangam dynasty. The king was assisted by a council of ministers in his day to day administration. The empire was divided into different administrative units called mandalams, nadus, sthalas, and finally into gramas. The governor of Mandalam was called Mandaleshwar or Nayak. Vijayanagar rulers gave full powers to the local authorities in the administration. Besides land revenue tributes and gifts from vassals and feudal chiefs, customs collected at the ports, taxes on various professions were often sources of income to the government. Land revenue was fixed generally one sixth of the produce. The expenditure of the government includes personal expenses of king and the charities given by him and military expenditure. In the matter of justice, harsh punishments such as mutilation and throwing to elephants were followed. The Vijayanagar army was well organized and efficient. It consisted of the cavalry, infantry, artillery, and elephants. High breed horses were procured from foreign traders. The top grade officers of the army were known as Nayakas or Polygars. They were granted land in lieu of their services. These lands were called Amaram. Soldiers were usually paid in cash. Social life. Alasani Pedan in his Manu Charitam refers the existence of four castes Brahmins, Kshatriya, Vaishyas, and Sudras in the Vijayanagar society. Foreign travelers left vivid accounts on the splendor of buildings and luxurious social life in the city of Vijayanagar. Silk and cotton clothes were mainly used for dress. Perfumes, flowers, and ornaments were used by the people. Pious mentions of the beautiful houses of the rich and large number of their household servants. Nicolo Conti refers to the prevalence of slavery. Dancing, music, wrestling, gambling, and cockfighting were some of the amusements. These Sangam rulers were chiefly Saivites, and Virupaksh was their family deity. But other dynasties were Vaishnavites. Sri Vaishnavism of Ramanuj was very popular, but all kings were tolerant towards other religions. Barbosa referred to the religious freedom enjoyed by everyone. Borbosa. Muslims were employed in the administration and they were freely allowed to build mosques and worship. A large number of temples were built during this period and numerous festivals were celebrated. The epics and the Puranas were popular among the masses. The position of women had not improved, however, some of them were learned. Ganga Devi, wife of Kumar Kampan, authored the famous work Madhur Vijayam. Hannamma and Thirumalamma were famous poets of this period. According to Nunij, a large number of women were employed in royal palaces as dancers, domestic servants, and palanquin bearers. The attachment of dancing girls to temples was in practice. Pious refers to the flourishing Devdasi system. Polygamy was prevalent among the royal families. Sati was honored, and Nunes gives a description of it. Economic condition. According to the accounts of the foreign traders, the Vijayanagar Empire was one of the wealthiest parts of the world at that time. Agriculture continued to be the chief occupation of the people. The Vijayanagar rulers provided a stimulus to its further growth by providing irrigation facilities. New tanks were built and dams were constructed across the rivers like Tungabhadra, known as refers to the excavation of canals. There were numerous industries and they were organized into guilds. Metal workers and other craftsmen flourished during this period. Diamond mines were located in Kurnool and Anantapur district. Vijayanagar was also a great center of trade. The chief gold coin was the Varaha, but ways and measures varied from place to place. Inland, coastal, and overseas trade led to the general prosperity. There was a number of seaports on the Malabar coast, the chief being Kannanur. Commercial contacts with Arabia, Persia, South Africa, and Portugal on the west, and with Burma, Malay Peninsula, and China on the east flourished. The chief items of exports were cotton and silk clothes, spices, rice, iron, saltpeter, and sugar. The imported consisted of horses, pearls, copper, coral, mercury, china, silk, and velvet clothes. The art of shipbuilding had developed. Cultural contributions. The temple building activity further gained momentum during the Vijayanagar rule. The chief characteristics of the Vijayanagar architecture were the construction of tall Raya Gopurams or gateway and the Kalyan Mandalam with carved pillars in the temple premises. The sculptures on the pillars were carved with distinctive features. The horse was the most common animal found in these pillars. Large mandapams contain 100 pillars as well as 1000 pillars in some big temples. These mandapas were used for seating the deity on festival occasions. Also, many Amman shrines were added to the already existing temples during this period. The most important temples of the Vijayanagar style were found in the Hampi ruins or the city of Vijayanagar. Vittal Swami and Hazar Swami temples were the best examples of this style. The Varadharaj and Ekamparanath temples at Kanchipuram stand as examples for the magnificence of the Vijayanagar style of temple architecture. The Raya Gopurams at Thirunamalai and Chidambaram speak the glorious epoch of Vijayanagar. They were continued by the Nayak rulers in the last period. The metal images of Krishnadev Rai and his queens at Tirupati are examples for casting of metal images. Music and dancing were also patronized by the rulers of Vijayanagar. ये एलिफेंट चैरियट है हम्पी रूइंस का दिखाया हुआ है डिफरेंट लैंग्वेजेस सच एज संस्कृत तेलुगु कन्नड़ एंड तमिल फ्लरिश्ड इन दिस regions. There was a great development in Sanskrit and Telugu literature. The peak of literary achievement was reached during the reign of Krishnadev Rai. He himself was a scholar in Sanskrit and Telugu. His famous court poet Allah Sani Pedanna was distinguished in Telugu literature. Thus, the cultural contribution of the Vijayanagar rulers were many sided and remarkable.